What's up, expats and travelers alike? I am Josh,
And I'm Kalie.
and today we are here to talk about summer in Portugal. We're going to talk about summer travel. We'll also talk about moving during the summer. So, what could that mean? And we have two special guests that are going to be joining us representing the whole country today. We're going to be talking from the south to the north. So that's going to be a lot of fun, right?
Yep. The different festivals that happen because, the Portuguese like to party for sure.
Yes.
They like their festivals. So.
Yes. We are going to have you covered, like I said, nationwide. And we also want to let you know about some events that we're going to be hosting. So live meetups where you can meet other people that are trying to do what you're doing, that are already doing what you want to be doing. So without further ado, shall we bring them in?
Let's go.
All right. So we have Becky representing the middle part of the country, let's say Lisbon area. What's up, Becky?
Hey, I'm just back from the party, guys. Can't wait to talk about it.
That's right. So the amazing thing about Becky right now is she's repping Superbock, which is the best domestic beer in Portugal. But she probably should be representing Sagres if she's staying authentic to the Lisbon vibe.
Yeah, that's actually really funny.
I love it.
Superbock.
I love it. It's
I'm Becky, so I'm Super Beck. That's I've always had Superbock closer to my heart.
There you go. It's because Lisboa sabe.
Yeah.
They know what's up.
You're funny.
Okay.
A little inside joke, I guess.
It's an inside joke. It's going to be coming out soon, though. Don't worry. Okay. So we also have Izzy representing. Let me turn her mic on. There we go. Representing Algarve and also representing a blend between Portugal, being Portuguese, and having a father that's from South Africa. If you don't recognize Izzy, she is from the channel Algarve Addict.
Algarve Addict.
There we go. All right. So Izzy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Doing awesome.
Yeah. So we'll jump into the questions in a little bit, but I think my big thing, Izzy, I want to know, because obviously a lot of us are outsiders and we're expats. We haven't been here that long. You grew up here. So what, in your opinion, is like the festival season like in Portugal? Like, what should people expect as far as what festivals look like?
Well, I've only kind of become more aware of them as of recently, because before that I haven't really started going to them and stuff yet. But they're very fun, and there's some really, really big ones like in the Lisbon area. But there's so many local ones all around the country. So where I live, we have the Festival Med, which is like at our little town, and there's one just another like across another town. Like there's tons everywhere locally. There's over 150 summer festivals in Portugal. So there's a lot to expect.
Yeah, it's the thing to do.
The fact that there's over 150 is very impressive.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
This is why we bring a local on. This is why we bring a local on right here, for that local authentic knowledge.
Right, because I think it's like always a joke. Like we're always like, there are so many festivals, but you don't really know how many there actually are. It just seems like there's always one going on, and it can be regional or it could be the whole country is celebrating something that's the same. But they definitely like their regional ones too.
Oh, we got a little feedback.
Yep.
It's all right.
So that's why it's good to chat with people who live in different places as well. So yeah, and they're quite family friendly too, right? We always take Valencia out to them. So we don't do in Porto for São João. It goes in, the fireworks are at midnight, and the joke is that that's not when it ends, that's when it starts. So people are out, doing, getting in the water and stuff after that. So obviously for us with the little one, by midnight, we're, about done. She's about done. But Becky, in Lisbon, did you stay out after midnight, or were things pretty crazy after midnight?
Things did get pretty crazy after midnight. I left right about midnight. Kind of like the Cinderella moment, because it was getting pretty crowded where I was. And I had a friend who had just arrived that day from America. She'd never been to Portugal. So she was out for a while, but the jet lag set in. So we went back home.
Was the atmosphere pretty loose though? Like when we say things were getting pretty wild, like, are we talking about like dangerous wild, or just like a lot of people, loud music? Like, what's wild? Tell us.
Yeah, no, it was wild. There were a lot of young people that were coming out as it got later, really exciting and vibrant music throughout the city.
Yeah.
And as the musicians got into it, things got even wilder. There beer is everywhere and lots of food. It was definitely a huge party.
And how about prices? Like, were prices more elevated, like beers or food?
So I have a tip about the beer.
Yep.
This is actually a cup from that night. You can buy a cup, and I remember that in one of the Arales, I'm not going to say it right. My R pronunciation isn't that great, but they were giving small beers for 190, and the large beer was 4, but they were filling the small beer almost to the top. So check it out when you go. Maybe you'll get a good deal. So that's what we were doing. I do remember chorizo sausage was 10 euros, but you got like a really big sausage. It felt
Okay.
expensive to me, so I was sticking
Okay.
with the sardines. So yeah.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah, which is typical to, it's the Santo Antonio festival you're talking about, right, Becky?
Yes, this was the
That
night
just
of
happened.
June 12th. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me pop that up there. Yeah. So Santo Antonio in Lisbon is well, this year was on the 12th, 13th, the night of the 12th into the morning of the 13th.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's always difficult when you're looking up like festivals, because you'll see like 2 days, but of course
No.
it's like, you got to remember you're in Portugal. It starts in the evening and it goes into the next day. I think that's pretty typical.
Izzy, do you have any tips on that as well? Like anything for people to watch out for, like when a festival is announced, that maybe something like Kalie said, where it might start earlier and then continue on?
Well, I haven't been to this type of festival that you're talking about because these are the Central Plotch. I haven't been to those. Um, but most festivals will start at around, like music festivals will start around like 6 o'clock, I
Okay.
think, and then they go until like 3, 4, 5 in the morning, or a lot of them actually have camping, so you just sleep there and it never stops. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you
yeah,
participated in any?
I've been to a couple. I haven't camped anywhere or anything, but I went to a few last year, which was really nice.
And where were
I
those?
went to two in Lisbon.
Okay.
I went to one in Lisbon, which was Meo Calurama, and I went to one in the Alentejo area,
Mhm.
called Meus Doeste, which is really cool as well. Meus Doeste is really big on the camping thing. Like a lot of people go there and camp, and it's just like 3, 4 days straight of just party.
Yeah. Is Alentejo known for camping, like among Portuguese?
I wouldn't necessarily say so.
Okay. Because
I
it's
don't
known
think
for
so.
agriculture, but not necessarily
Mm.
camping, right?
No, not really.
Okay.
Don't think
Yeah.
so.
Nice.
There was a big music festival in Porto, and we had
Yeah.
friends going. And I remember she was saying one of the acts was coming out at 3 a.m. I was like,
Yeah.
It wasn't one of the major acts, though,
I
was
think
it?
it was.
Oh my
Yeah. I mean,
gosh,
I
like a
think it was,
headliner.
yeah, it was like midnight and 3 were some of the big ones. And I mean, obviously we're in a very different stage of life where I'm like, I can't imagine being out that late. And then, of course, having to wake up at like 7 or 8 with a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that's very different for us too. That's normal though, right? Izzy? Those hours?
Yeah. What tends to happen a lot is that they'll have like a couple of headliners for each day.
Mm.
And so then like one will come out at like 8, one will come out at midnight, and one will come out at like 2 in the morning kind of thing. And then after that they'll have like supporting acts that just keep playing. And so the party just kind of keeps going.
Mhm.
That's what I've realized, I think.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I guess I'm wondering, like, what about the people who they want to enjoy it a little bit, but they don't want the noise into the wee hours of the night? What would be some good advice? Do either
Good
of you have
question.
good advice about how to enjoy it, but not lose a bunch of sleep over it if you don't want to? I guess. Any tips?
Well, I'd recommend maybe going like to concerts and things rather than the festivals, because festivals usually will run really late. And if you check the schedule or something, then maybe that'll help you to see when your artist or whoever you want to see is coming out. Or you can just go and leave early. Um, but just kind of knowing when it's happening will help, because a lot of the time you won't know until about a week beforehand. And so then you're there and your favorite artist is only coming out at 3 in the morning. And you're like, oh my gosh. So it's like just have to kind of keep an eye out for it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about this right here? Because I'm not familiar with the Festus Juninas. Juninas
that they have in Brazil.
Brazil? No idea. All I know is Carnival in Brazil.
Any of you two know about a correlation between this?
No,
Okay.
I've only been to Carnival in Brazil as well.
Mm-hmm.
We did get a shout out for Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to
yeah.
all the fathers out there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
U.S. Father's Day.
Yeah, U.S. Father's Day. Although I think in
Portuguese.
England they celebrate Father's Day today.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, I believe so.
All right. Well,
And
Portugal, we've
is
already
different.
celebrated, Josh. Portugal was in March.
Yeah.
So
That's actually something to take note of, though. Like for really not just for Americans, but since the majority of our audience is American, American Father's Day and Mother's Day is different than here in Portugal.
different days, yeah.
So that can be tricky. Like if you're wishing loved ones back home, and you're thinking about like what the holiday is here, it's not the same as it is in the States. You got to like really pay attention to your holiday calendar,
Yeah.
or you're going to have a grumpy parent.
Yeah. Or yeah.
I speak from experience.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, something good to know. But I guess if anyone in the chat section knows about the festus in Brazil, and if there is, I mean, you'd imagine there's something similar, right? Culturally. So June festivals. Yeah. So if anyone knows about that in the chat, then Josh can put that up on the screen.
So I'm seeing that it's Father's Day today in Ecuador as well.
Okay.
There we go. See.
So then whose is the same if Portugal's is Father's Day in March? Where else? Is that a European? I mean, you said England though, or
maybe,
UK.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's tricky though. Which one do you actually celebrate? I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about meetups that we have. So those are kind of festivals. We're going to make it a festival, and
Our festivals.
We're talking about. We're also talking about American stuff. So we are celebrating July 4th here in Portugal, and it's going to be at a place down by the river, but not in Ribeira in Porto, called Monchique Resto Bar, and it's on Cais das Pedras 5. We have an Instagram post about it. Kalie also has this newsletter that you can join to check out, like whenever we do. It's a monthly one, so we're not bombarding you with stuff. We just want to let you know if you want to know about the meetups we have or other information that we have. We want to be able to get that to you because sometimes the algorithm doesn't work.
Yeah, they'll be in the newsletter,
it doesn't work for us. So it'll be in the newsletter. We have two other events. One,
real quick, 4th of July is not just for Americans.
Just Americans. Thank
you.
Yeah,
I mean, it is obviously, anyone is invited. Obviously, it's, U.S. independence, but it's just another fun reason to get a bunch of people together, expats and Portuguese, and just have a good time. So it is not exclusive to Americans. So anyone can come. And like Josh said, it's in the Porto area, that one.
Yeah. And we're actually co-hosting it with AFPOP, the local chapter of AFPOP, which is an organization really for foreigners wanting to have a cross-cultural experience with Portuguese and Portugal. So that
one's for July 4th. And then next would be
August 2nd. We're having a patron-only meetup here. So if you don't know what Patreon is, it is a social media platform to support creators. So on there, we're able to interact with our smaller community of people, and we're doing a patron-only meetup there. I can't tell you exactly where it is. You have to find out on Patreon.
So not anyone can just show up.
That's right.
You have to be on Patreon to see it.
And then August 26th, we're going to be in Lisbon doing an open meetup at a rooftop bar at Mundial Hotel at 6:30. And that should be a blast.
Yeah, the location's really cool.
I think we do have to put out some sort of like RSVP link for that one because there's like a capacity limit that it has up there, and we're hoping that this is a massive meetup. We're giving people plenty of time to know that the meetup's happening. So Yeah.
Yeah. So we will have an Eventbrite for that, which is free to come, but we just need to make sure we track numbers. Again, that's socials, and then in our newsletter. So definitely newsletter should be going out around next week. So we've got some cool stuff in there too, some cool links, some seminars that we'll be involved in if you guys want to check that out for Portugal. So yeah, so jump on the newsletter. You can email info@expatsEverywhere.com to get on the newsletter. And then, yeah, if you want to join the smaller Patreon community, then that's up on the screen right now, too, for Patreon.
Yep.
So those are our festivals for the summer.
Let's, not our only, Expats Everywhere festivals, but not the only festival that's going to be happening. We'll touch on that in a second. Summer's in Lisbon. What's happening, Becky? Summer's in Lisbon. You've been in Lisbon for at least one summer. This is your second or third? Is your third?
This is it's my third, but the first one was not a normal summer.
Yeah.
2021. So
what's
coming up on the third?
Like there, not just talking about festivals, but how hot is it?
Well, this week was I would say, I don't know if I should use Fahrenheit or Celsius, but it was pretty hot. But next week we're supposed to get to 40 degrees, almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit for about 4 days. There's a warm front coming in, so prepare your air conditioners if you have them. If not, get those windows open, everybody here in Lisbon. Or we're all going to be out at the festivals, which really the Santos Populares festivals really do happen all month here in Lisbon. Yeah. So I think that there's going to be some warm nights, they said as well. They call them tropical nights because normally in Lisbon it gets pretty cool. It cools off enough that you get relief in the summer. But I think like last summer, it's going to be warmer and warmer here because we've had a really warm June.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Izzy, is it the same in Algarve? I mean, that's further south. So are we talking about like high temperatures as well?
It's been pretty hot. It's been very confusing because and sometimes it'll be really hot. Like today, I'm actually in Lisbon today, but like it was very hot this morning, and then in the afternoon, all of a sudden it was like overcast and just very. It wasn't cold, obviously, but it was the temperature went down. So it's been very confusing, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
But I do think we are headed for a pretty hot summer.
Yeah. Well, I've heard other people say it's been confusing as well, even like up in Porto, because we will have like some warmer days and then the temperatures will plummet. Using Fahrenheit, like it'll drop into the upper 50s. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's a bit strange for this time of year, I think.
It's actually been really pleasant. There was one day where we were like, whoa, it's hot, and I think at that point it was like 80, which is hot for Porto. So I was thinking, geez, what's the rest of the country looking like? I'm guessing it was quite hot in Lisbon, but it's been really pleasant. I think what's been confusing here is sometimes you go outside and the wind is a little cool. Mm-hmm. So you're like, okay, I'm in shorts and like a t-shirt or something like this. But the wind is a little cool. So then when the sun goes down, you're like, oh, I think I need like just like a little like sweater or something. But other times the wind is still there, but it doesn't have that coolness to it. So that's what I think has gotten kind of confusing, whether it's like how hot or how cold is it really, especially when you're in the shade. That's the main thing. It feels good in the sun, but the shade can be tricky. So hopefully we're not cruising to too hot of a summer in Porto, but it's not as hot, obviously, as the other locations. So we do have that going for us for everyone who complains and says, oh, it rains so much in the winter.
Yeah.
The summers are amazing.
Are really pleasant.
Oh, yeah. Except if a heat wave comes through, then obviously it's going to be hot. But a day or two of that, it's not too bad.
Izzy, how do people beat the heat in Algarve in the summer? Is it just a matter of like staying as close to swimming pools as possible or what?
It's kind of you just live on the beach. I think that's our main way of solving it. It's just beach all the time because that's also what the Algarve is known for, is our beautiful beaches.
Sure.
And I don't think there's really anywhere in the Algarve where you can be like more than half an hour away from a beach. So I feel like that's the best way to beat the heat.
Yeah. From a local's perspective, how do you feel about just the volume of tourism that ramps up
in the summer?
Oh, it's crazy. Because the Algarve is very quiet in the winter and stuff, and all of a sudden in the summer it's just goes up like crazy. There's so many people everywhere, and there's so much going on all of a sudden. It's like everything that happens is so concentrated in the summer that it's just a lot. So it's like very high contrast with the winter, which is very, very quiet.
When do things start dying down again and like relaxing?
I'd say like October,
Okay.
like
Similar to
because
here.
September is still pretty hot, and there's
Hmm.
still quite a few people here. Because the thing with the Algarve is that not only do we have a lot of foreigners coming in on a holiday, but we have a lot of Portuguese people coming down to the Algarve for
Yep.
the summer. It's a very Portuguese thing to come down to the Algarve for 2 weeks in the summer.
Yep.
So it's so packed.
Yeah.
Does it affect prices like at restaurants and bars? Do they like elevate prices just for the high season?
I'm pretty sure they do, but I
Yeah.
won't lie, I'm not 100% sure.
You don't
I
pay the
haven't really
bills.
been paying attention. Exactly. So I haven't been paying much attention just yet. But I'm like 99% sure they do. I
Yeah.
think even stuff like the grocery store gets more expensive. Everything gets more expensive in summer.
Okay. How do you think that residents take that?
They they don't love it, but I think we're kind of used to it because
Yeah.
that's where everything happens. That's
Mm.
how
Like
like
the
our
economy?
economy works.
Yeah.
Yeah. We depend on tourism. We need it. So it's not the greatest, but it's also a lot of times it is the locals that are putting up the prices. So it's like,
Sure. Yeah, it's like you're putting up the prices on each other as well as the tourists.
yeah,
Yeah. Do
yeah,
you get in
exactly.
discussions with other people about this? Like, do young people talk about this?
We don't really,
Mm.
not much, because we don't pay much attention to it yet, I don't think.
Okay. Yeah. Can't necessarily affect the change yet.
Yeah. Becky, I'm curious to know, since you said it's your third summer, so from 2021 till now, what's Lisbon been like in the summers? Like, have you seen like a couple years ago, you're like, okay, there were tourists, but then like this year, it's like crazy with tourists. Like, can you see the difference in the past couple of years of how many people are there?
Absolutely. It's becoming more and more popular. This year, for example, my American friends are starting to visit me, whereas I think the last 2 summers, they didn't quite feel safe enough to do that coming out of the
Okay.
pandemic. So that's happening. My friend told me that or travel agents in the US are recommending Lisbon as like a layover if they're going to other parts of Europe. A friend I met with today just told me that's why she was here. And yeah, just the traffic as well on some of the streets, especially any like highways headed towards beaches on the weekends. You kind of have to time that. One tip if you live in Lisbon is on a Sunday afternoon as the sun starts to go down, make sure you're on the bridge back over the Ponte de Abril de 25, which is the one that, for those of you from the US, looks like the Golden Gate Bridge. There can be really long lines coming back over that bridge. So you might even be on that bridge for an hour if you time it the wrong way. So yeah, there's more traffic, but I mean, we're excited that people love Lisbon. So yeah, we're all getting out more and more to these festivals and just trying to live life outside or on the beach, like Isabella said.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, yeah, I mean, Becky and I just experienced the festival together. We got to meet up here in Porto. There was the beer fest, which is an annual thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kalie was also one day at the beer fest.
I was supposed to be there
Yeah.
to see Becky, but our daughter came down with a little bit of a rash, and with the heat, it's aggravated by the heat. So I was like,
Yeah.
I should stay in because she had her final performance for school this weekend. So I was like, I should stay in. But then we did go out. What was that? Yesterday.
Yeah.
Then yeah.
Porto Beer Fest is great
It's a
though.
lot of fun.
A lot of craft breweries from all over the country and Europe come, and they bring their best selections, and then you get to sample
And
a bunch of
two,
stuff.
like, I mean, they had like non-alcoholic things. There were like sodas, right?
Yep.
There's that.
Yep.
And then there was like the spiked kombucha, which that was something that was cool.
Mhm.
That's a little newer that Akela's doing.
Akela is the local kombucha place, but they do have distribution all over the country.
Yeah.
But it's
It's
the big
based
one.
in Porto.
Yep.
The gin and tonics with distillery.
That's right.
They're specialized in gin and then have rum as well. So they were there. And then there's food, of course. So it's it's beer, craft beer, but from places all over Portugal. But then also some other stalls as well. So it was the location was really nice. Only bad
Beautiful.
thing is like it was, at least yesterday, it was nice and sunny in the afternoon, and they could have used just putting up some umbrellas.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the people with kids, because it's family friendly as well. All the people with kids, we were all around the trees. There were a few little trees and with a little bit of shade, and it's like that's where we all were huddled there But it got pretty hot in the sun.
And I think that's actually a big difference between what you might find at like a beer festival in the US compared to Portugal, is just how family friendly these types of events, even though there's alcohol involved, they're very family friendly.
Yeah, definitely. It's normal to see kids running around, and they make it actually pretty easy to have kids because it's generally in a place that's super blocked off, and so there's not cars and such. They have live music, but it's not like overwhelmingly loud. I mean, we were actually really close, or not. I mean, they have live music sometimes, but this was a DJ at the time that we were there. But they do make it really family friendly, which is nice. Another perk of being in Portugal, that all ages can participate, and that's okay.
Well, let me tell you all about a party that is not necessarily a festival, but is not family friendly. So a couple weeks ago, I went to the Taça de Portugal. Izzy, are you familiar with this? Taça de Portugal?
I'm not.
Do you know what I'm talking about at all?
I don't actually. What is that?
Are you into sports?
Sorry?
Are you into sports? Like football is life?
No, not really.
That's fine,
So
to be honest.
it's cool. No worries. So the Portugal has a cup competition for the soccer teams, the football teams, and it gets down to a final, and the final is always held at this one stadium in Lisbon
for this cup
called Jamor. Are you familiar? We'll be tracking now. You understand?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Okay, so Jamor.
This is one Benfica one, right?
This one, no. Benfica won the league.
The league, yeah.
Yeah, the campeonato. But this is a cup competition. So like if you lose one match, you're knocked out, and the winner goes on to the next, and then it goes down to one team.
But it's always held at the same stadium in Lisbon. The finals are always held there. So it was Porto versus Braga, but it was in Lisbon.
That's right. So this stadium is in like the middle of the woods, and therefore it's like a park, I guess, but it's in a wooded area. So this is a venue where people come and they tailgate. They bring their barbecues and like just a ton of beer. And Kalie and I really wanted to take Valencia, but tickets were limited.
Well, we wanted to go.
We wanted to go, and we wanted to take Valencia. But the tickets were really limited. So we ended up only getting one ticket. And Kalie was like, you go, you have fun. I am so glad that it was just me and we did not take Valencia, because the amount of alcohol and just like shenanigans that went on. It's not a family friendly atmosphere at those games.
You did see kids there though, right? But they were a bit older.
Not 10, young kids.
10 and up, maybe?
You saw maybe 10 and up. But honestly, I don't even know if they should have been there.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, people should behave.
Yeah, that's true.
People should behave, and adults were not behaving like adults. I'll just say that. All right, off my soapbox.
But that one too was kind of one where it was like, Sia is still, she's kind of young to watch live sports anyway. So she gets into it at first, and then 10 minutes in, she's just like, all right, I'm out. So either I'm spending like the rest of the time, like, around with her in the stadium, or she's watching something with her headphones. So that one was kind of like, if it doesn't work out, it's okay, because it's a little difficult with Sia anyway. So at that point, I don't get to enjoy the game because I'm, watching her. Yeah. But Josh got to go, and you got to go with friends, like Portuguese friends, which was nice, so that you could experience that. That's always a really good thing too.
And Veronica knows that football is live.
Football is live. Good old Ted Lasso, which is done now. But yeah,
I love that. Okay, so we love that you're putting questions in the chat. Please keep doing that. It's time to kind of get to those questions, and then all of us can take rounds answering them. And
have you not been putting questions up, or no?
We just now started getting questions. To be honest, I mean, there's a question like, "Who's your daddy?"
Who's your daddy?
I don't know who that's directed to.
Maybe that's when we're talking about Father's Day.
But it's funny.
We're gonna keep it.
Yeah, it's funny.
PG.
Okay, so we do have kind of a statement here. I heard that it was hot last year in Viana do Castelo. We were in Viana do Castelo last year in June, actually for a festival.
Yeah.
It was a medieval festival. And
those are fun too.
Amazing. Medieval festivals, fun. Have you all been to those medieval festivals?
I haven't.
Oh, is
it? I went to a Renaissance festival, but that was in the US, not the ones here.
In Portugal, they're a lot of fun, and
they travel around
for it. They go all out.
Yeah, they the festival travels during the summer, so it goes to different cities, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But medieval, so you get to try, you get to, I don't know, fun stuff, I guess, like medievally stuff. That's another one. But
Yep.
we were there and it was warm. It wasn't super hot, but the thing is that I think happened last year is there were about 3 heat waves that came through. So the whole country was feeling like the heat.
Yes.
So it probably did get hot, even though, the Castilla is so far north. It probably was hot.
I mean, after all, this is Southern Europe. So Southern Europe does get a bit more heat than Northern Europe does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Unlike when we were, well, that was more winter time. Never mind.
Here's
Side
a
note, I
question.
was going to say something about France, but we'll stick to Portugal.
Yeah.
Question: do they have like a shutdown time for beaches in the summer? Do beaches have? Yeah,
Like hours that people
you're not allowed to be on the beach. I feel like I've seen that before. I think that's meant to.
here?
Yeah, but it's meant to be like so you're not
Izzy
camping
wants
on
to
the beach.
answer, I
But
think.
yeah,
Yeah,
What do you
right.
think?
I don't think so. Because you can't, it's illegal to camp on the beach, but I don't think there's like a shutdown time when you have to leave.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think I've seen stuff that's like, yeah, you're not allowed to camp on the beach because I think actually all around Portugal, you're not just you can't just pop up a tent somewhere. You can only camp in certain designated areas. So obviously you can't camp on the beach, but I don't know if it's closed off times, and obviously during the festivals, it's not because people are out there because that's one with like São João. You after the fireworks, people head towards the beach, and so that's kind of where it continues into the wee hours.
Party keeps going.
Yeah, and then you watch sunrise out there. So
okay, so here's an awesome question I saw pop up from Yvonne is asking, are the Azores a typical weekend trip for Portuguese and expats from the mainland? I mean, I think we have an answer for that, but I'd like to hear from you all first.
I don't hear so much about it for a weekend. I feel like it's more something you would do for a week.
Yeah, I agree. I've heard of a lot of people I've actually never visited the Azores, but I've visited Madeira. But I've never heard of people just going like for a weekend, like all the time. They'll typically go for like a while.
Why do we think that is?
It's
Any
very
guesses?
different to
Okay.
Portugal. Like it's the same, like the culture is the same and we speak the same language, but it's a completely different place and also flights are expensive to get there, I'm pretty sure. So
So you think that like people want to give themselves a little more time when they get there rather than like just like a cityscape or like not cityscape, but a city break, like just to get out of the city and do that. I tend to agree with that. I think that
it's not a weekend trip, like a weekend pop
it
over.
could be.
It could be, but it's not common.
But I think you would want to go and experience a bit more and explore a bit more. And the pace of life there is quite slow. So it's like how much are you actually going to get done in 48 hours?
Yeah, definitely more like a week.
Madeira is also not a beach destination. People think it might be because it's an island, but you have to get to Porto Santo, which is like 2 hours or something away on a ferry to get there. That's how most people
get a nice
go.
beach.
Yeah.
That's
so
true.
you've got it in Lisbon or the Algarve. If you're going for beach, you may as well just stay, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
For the weekend.
That's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point. Okay. Let's see. This is a little outside of the context of what's happening in this live stream, but let's ask it anyways. Becky, have you seen crime rate increased in Lisbon?
So it's hard to say. I'm sure there's a lot of things that go unreported. I did hear that I met people on a tour in Porto, actually, whose daughter had been pickpocketed during the Santos Populares on the night of June 12th, which is the most crowded night. And apparently her whole group that had come out of a hostel together to celebrate, all of them got pickpocketed. So I think with any large festival where you can sometimes be right up next to other people, I would always say to be cautious. I mean, that probably happens to some extent every year when the festival's going at full steam. So I don't know if it's increased, but I would say generally with more people coming into the city, just statistically, it's gone up a little bit, but it's mostly something like that where it would be pickpocketing. I don't hear a lot about like violent crime. It does get reported in the newspaper occasionally, but it's still pretty rare.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
Izzy, how do you feel when you visit Lisbon? Do you feel safe? Like you're there now?
I feel pretty safe. My mom gets a lot more aware. So like we know, for example, that if we park our car, we can't just leave our things in the back seat. We have to make sure it's in the boot and that it's hidden
Mm,
and those kind of things. But they're more a precaution than anything.
mm.
Lisbon's still very, very safe.
Mhm.
So I feel great like walking around on my own in Lisbon.
Yeah, you bring up a really important part about crime and safety. It's that a lot of crimes that happen in Portugal, they're not like violence towards another person, but it'll be like a car breaking into a car to to steal something, and people are maybe opportunistic as well. If they see something through the window, then they know like, I can nick this and make $1,000 or whatever, like steal a computer or whatever. Not that it happens a lot, but that's kind of the crime that happens, as opposed to muggings or, like, yeah,
Mm.
right?
Violent type.
Violent
Yeah.
crimes.
It's yeah, maybe more of an opportunity or just not wanting to have a confrontation. So that's like where pickpocketing is non-confrontational with people. But yeah, I would assume that, I mean, overall in Portugal, as tourism picks back up and it's becoming more of a destination for people to move to, the crime rate is probably going up a bit, but still very, very safe. Very
Yeah.
safe place.
Yeah. And I think any festival around the world, you're going to face something like that. So but I think you should be just generally aware in
Yep.
these major cities.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, Izzy, you've got a question here. How's your dad?
He's good. He's great. He's actually in the Algarve right now. Where me and my mom are in Lisbon. But he's great.
Are you
I think
visiting family, or what are you guys doing?
Yeah, well, we're here. We had to come up because we had an event this weekend.
Mhm.
And then my dad went down today because he went to put out his video, which is out now. If you guys want to go watch, I think you should. Um,
after this.
so that's why my dad's now down in the Algarve and me and my mom are still here.
And then I think are you guys coming up to Porto, right? Or at least
My
Well,
dad
he
is,
is. Yeah,
okay.
Nick is.
yeah, he's going and coming back in the same day.
Is he really? I'm supposed to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I know he's supposed to be here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not that
Meet
hard
up.
though. That's actually a good thing to bring up because I think that, for Americans especially, we drive a lot. So driving a couple hours to a place is not as big of a deal. So
Yes.
driving from Algarve up to Porto, let's say it's about 4, is that right? Is he 4 hours driving? 4.5?
It's a bit longer than that, I'd say.
4.5,
It's
5.
closer to around yeah, because there's like 5-6 hours, I'd say. My dad's taking a flight there though.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So he's flying. Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
we
He is.
drove. Yeah, at one point we did drive. Okay, it's about 5 hours. So
Yeah.
from like Faro to Porto, if you're just
A1, A2.
yeah, and obviously traffic and
The
such.
highway names or interstate names.
But it's 5 hours, right? Because we've done that drive, which is not terrible. So you can
we did that drive, legit.
Yeah, we did. We have done that drive.
Mhm.
So it's not terrible if you're thinking about, driving around Portugal, especially if you're visiting in the summer or whatever. But flying is also a really great option too. I mean, we've flown from between Porto and Lisbon just because we're like, yeah, it's faster than the train. I think it's much nicer than the train just because it feels much faster. But yeah.
You need to worry about your carbon footprint.
Oh my, yeah. Oh, sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But travel wise, it's pretty easy to get around Portugal, is what I'm saying. And
It
then, of
is.
course, the rest of Europe,
Yeah,
too.
It is.
for sure.
I want to pop this up. It's not about summer travel, but it's an interesting question that maybe you could answer. Are international schools for children public or private? Are they expensive? So, any comments on that? Because Izzy, you go.
International schools tend to be private, and they can get a bit pricey, I think. I'm talking only about the Algarve because other than the Algarve, I don't really know schools in Lisbon and stuff like that. But they are pretty pricey. Most private schools in general are international schools because the public system is actually really good here in Portugal. So Portuguese public schools, I don't find them to be as common. There's a couple, but there's not that many.
Mm.
So Portuguese public school is free and it's amazing. And then the private schools do tend to get a bit pricey.
And what are school breaks like? Like You know, so a family can travel if they're living here and then they have kids. How does that work?
Well, I'm not 100% sure if I think it's pretty similar in all schools, in all international schools, but I could be wrong. I know it for a fact in Portuguese public school, you get 2 weeks for December for Christmas.
Christmas.
You get 2 weeks over Easter, and then you get like 3 months in the summer. You have
Oh,
really good summer holidays because you end around mid-June and you start mid-September.
okay.
In international schools, I think some of them are different, but they're all pretty much similar to this.
Hmm. Why do you think it's so popular in Europe that people travel in August? Like August more specifically.
I really don't know. We tend to avoid it because it gets so crowded everywhere in
Yeah.
August.
Hmm.
It's not fun
Yeah.
And
traveling
it's
in
more
More
August.
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
But I think
I
it's
would.
also because that's when a lot of people have holidays from their work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's probably have to do with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we say that, but we are traveling in August.
Well,
So,
because we have a break with Valencia school that it's like, well, we don't want to sit around and try to keep her occupied for 2 weeks straight.
yeah,
So
might as
we're
well
like, might as
travel
well do a
somewhere.
road trip.
Becky, are you going anywhere in August?
I think the last week of August, but a lot of my friends are leaving Lisbon in August because they say it's going to be too hot. So they want to get to a pool or a place, actually
Yeah.
just staying on the beach. Also, this year, the first week of August in Lisbon, the Pope is coming. So people are afraid of how crowded it's going to be. So some people are leaving town.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That
Yeah.
is definitely a technique as well, that you could just leave if you're in a high populated place for August time, to just leave. Or there's I know a friend that has started doing these like home shares, where it's like you stay in their home and they stay in yours at the same time. It's weird, but it works. I guess if you don't want to pay for a hotel or something, it keeps costs down, right? So they have that stuff that's available, and not just in Portugal. That's like in all of Europe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. There was a question I saw pop up, but actually let's get back to this right here. We haven't talked about São João, right?
Yeah, it's coming up this
This coming
Friday.
weekend.
This Friday.
Mhm.
A lot of fun. I don't know. You get to hit each other with plastic hammers.
Yeah, the thumbnail was actually me getting hit with a hammer. So.
Yeah, I feel like I looked a little creepy in it, but we just went with it. But it is like that, and again, that's a big family, festival as well. Like people are out, and they're so sweet with like Valencia. Like they'll go really lightly, and then they'll come in and put their head. And she,
Yeah.
last year she was just like, okay, she got into it though. But
Yeah.
the kids are really cute. But the families are out in force for that.
Grilled sardines, lots of super bach on free flow. It's not free, but it's flowing. There you go, Becky.
Yeah.
That's right. Funny thing, we were talking about pricing earlier. So we noticed that there was kind of a price difference here in Porto as you got closer to the good points where you could see the fireworks, the price of beers went up.
Yeah.
So like if you're pretty far away from the river, you could get a beer for $3.50, and then
In a big
like for
plastic
the
cup,
same
yeah.
size beer close to the river, it'd be like $4, and then like a great view, now you're talking about $5. It was annoying.
Yeah, the river is busy. I mean, the river is busy all summer, but yeah, for the festival, because that's where they shoot the fireworks off of that area. So yeah, it gets really busy.
If anybody's listening to this and you've done São João, drop in the chat where you like to watch the fireworks from, because I'd be interested to know.
Getting a poll.
I'm gonna take a poll
and see where we should end up, because I think we're undecided.
We are undecided.
Yeah, but it's fun.
Gaia side, Jardim de Mojo is really popular
Gets
because you've
busy,
got
though.
a great view there.
I mean,
I
people
think
sit.
Wow has a great view because they've got like
That
a big platform
yeah.
space.
Yeah, that would be a good spot. And then another big thing that you do for São João is the lanterns. You light the lanterns and they go up into the sky.
That was the comment that triggered it. I'm gonna find that comment.
Oh, someone said about that.
Yeah, Gary.
What was it? I just made a paper lantern balloon. Yep, good.
Good job.
Where and when in Porto do people light those balloons, or is that weather dependent? I think
We almost set a tree on fire, so I wouldn't even say it's weather
There are
dependent.
police officers right there too.
Yeah,
It's like a normal
yeah.
thing. People are like, oh no, like it's windy and it went that way. And no, I mean, people start even before the sun goes down, because right now the sun goes down later. No, people are doing lanterns
It was like
late afternoon in the evening.
yeah.
I mean, I think families get out a little earlier too if they're not going to stay or they're going to finish by midnight, because like I was saying before, it doesn't end at midnight with the fireworks. That's not like the grand finale. That's for some people like the beginning in a sense, because people end up, a thing is to go swimming in the water later on as you get down to the beach. So I think it depends on how long you're wanting to stay out, but we see people, the streets starting to get a little busier at late afternoon, early evening, but I think that's a bit maybe more of the families that start early, and then younger kids will start much later. But you can do the lanterns whenever you want. But it's nicer to do it when the sun's down, because it's dark, so you can see them better, I guess. But yeah, that's also a fun thing. So
All right, this is a good question here.
Oh
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So at these festivals, are you allowed to bring in your own beers? Yeah, because it's like open. It's like all around the city. So there's no like closed off gates or anything you have to go through. So yeah, you can drink your own beer.
That's right. Becky, what do you do? Do you take your own supply?
I don't, because I live in an area where there are not a lot of, like, there's not a big party going on. So I would have to travel over in a car or a bus to get to the festivals. So my beer isn't going to stay very cold. So
yeah. I could see you like having your
open.
Superbock hat on and like rolling, I don't know, like a Yeti cooler or something like that.
Yeah. The other thing is it's so hilly, right? So like rolling this thing up the pavement is a challenge with all the people around you as well.
It
Just
is,
like
yeah.
hitting you with your beer. It's already open. Like I like to go to the areas, the neighborhoods, and where they have the beer for sale and just stand around there with my cup.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for us, you can pop into any grocery store because they do, they will be open, but I don't know. I mean, maybe for a couple, just to keep costs down. But I think part of it is just having your big plastic cup, like Becky has. They have those here too, that you walk around with.
I've got a non-alcohol related question for
what?
Izzy.
Those
For
exist?
Izzy. For Izzy.
Okay, for Izzy, yeah.
So, do Portuguese people tend to like have a meal in before they go out on these festival days, or do they get the food out?
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
But I'm not 100% sure what the answer is.
What do you guys do?
Before I go out or anything, I tend to have dinner with my parents and then go out.
Yeah.
But when it's like something like the Central Plot where you start a bit earlier and there's like sardinhas on the streets and there's all these things, I'd assume you would just eat there.
And do you like the
I was
sardine?
lucky. Yeah, I was lucky this year because I had a friend rent out an entire restaurant for our group of 20, and we all had sardines and the typical meal for 25 euros each, and then we were free to go out on the street together after. So shout out to my friend Rosanna for organizing that.
Yeah,
to survive a bit longer into the night.
Awesome.
Good job.
I know. That's awesome. I wish I would have thought of something like that. I thought really late on that it'd be nice to have like an Airbnb or rent something that has a good view of the river for the fireworks. Because we did that one year for New Year's and it was like having a good view, but I thought about it way too late. So I think all the good ones are taken. I found one, but.
Okay. Izzy, sardines, yes or no?
Yeah.
Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs down because there's so many little bones. But sardine is actually my middle name, so I can't really say that. I'm serious. That's actually my middle name.
Okay. Tell me more.
Yeah. What were your parents thinking with that?
That's my mom's maiden name.
Okay.
My mom's maiden name is Sardinha, so that's my middle name. So sardines are great. They're so hard to eat, I find.
Yeah.
All the little bones everywhere and just.
I like them.
Yeah.
I was never exposed to them really as a kid, and I find that like the bigger ones here are really nice, like compared to the smaller sardines. I think that's more common in the States.
US, yeah.
But these like medium-sized sardines that do have a bit of meat on them, I actually find them pretty easy to get the bones out. I think you're doing it wrong.
Gosh.
Probably am.
Well, I'm with Izzy. I'm a thumbs down.
Yeah,
it's
Kalie
too much
doesn't like
work.
them.
Yeah, the bones and stuff for the amount of meat you get. It's too much work, and I don't like to work for my food. So
we also lived long enough in Asia just to adapt to just chewing through the bones, like just chew, even if you have bones, and it's fine.
yeah, I didn't like that either.
Becky's shaking her head. You know what I'm talking about, Becky, right?
I give it a thumbs up for the sardines
up.
because the time in Asia in Japan specifically, made me very used to all kinds of strange fish. So just another kind of fish, and it's the grilled aspect is very good.
Yeah, nice.
I'll
They
eat it
cooked
if
'em.
someone will just
That's
take the meat
great.
out for me.
Yeah, well, we have some other people that are sardine lovers here. So Yvonne's about it, and Flavia
And that's
is
canned.
about it.
Yeah, the canned kind.
Canned sardine.
Yeah.
There we go. And we have some sardines on some bread.
Yeah.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yes.
definitely a thing. Yeah.
Keep rolling.
Oh, are we? I think we're pretty much good. No.
All right. So, like we told you all earlier, we do have some meetups July 4th, August 2nd, and August 26th. Try to jump on Kalie's newsletter if you want more information about that stuff. And Becky and Izzy, really appreciate you all sharing your knowledge on things that are happening in the summertime in Portugal. Had a lot of fun with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's fun. Enjoy São João.
Thank you.
Thank
Coming
you.
up.
Yes.
We're excited.
Come up for it.
Yeah, it's an easy
We'd be happy
trip.
to welcome you all here. And thank you to the listener for hanging out with us over the past 50 minutes. It's been a lot of fun. We appreciate you all being here. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, do it. And then we will see you all on the next one, right?
Bye.
Let's get moving.
Bye.
Bye.